Welcome. As you come in, drop a little information in the chat box so that we can see it. This is how you're going to be entered to win our live giveaway. So drop that in there. Tell us your name and where you're joining us from. And tell us, what's a good question to ask? What's your favorite sport for spring? Tell me your favorite spring sport. We want to see. Drop your church name and where you're joining from. Anybody, join us. Oh,
Well,
there's somebody
thinking hard about what their favorite
thinking.
sport is.
That's right. Hey, Chase, we're glad you're here. Danielle, baseball, great. David, Ian, he loves soccer. I love soccer. Awesome. Diane, welcome. And John, softball. Teresa, there's a lot of baseball and softball in the house. Okay. Pickleball, great. Well, as you come in, I know there's people joining. You've come to the right spot. If you're looking for the Upward Sports webinar, bringing a new sport to your ministry, you came to the right place. We're glad you're here with us. We're going to get started in about 1 minute. Give everybody time as you come in. Drop in the chat box who you are, where you're joining from. And then if you want to play along, tell us what spring sport you like. Hey, Reverend Moss, we're glad you could join us from South Carolina representing. We're going to get started. I see there's a few more people in the waiting room that are checking in, and so we'll give everybody a second. Hey, TK from Ohio, we're glad you could join us. Oh, Teresa gave us 3: volleyball, pickleball, and basketball. We're glad you could join us, Teresa. Hey, Michelle from Arizona. All right, as everybody keeps coming in, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have a lot of questions to cover today. You guys submitted amazing questions, and so I want to honor your time today and make sure that we fully answer your questions. I brought some of our experts today so that they can give you real life examples and answers. So we'll get started. A lot of questions have come in as well. I see them emailing me personally here. Yes, this will be recorded. And yes, I will send an email out to you guys tomorrow. You will not get it today, but tomorrow you will receive the recap and the whole video in case you have questions. We'll be glad to help answer that. Today, I want to introduce you in just a second to our experts, our league directors, our Upward Sports ambassadors as well. But first, thank you again for joining. My name is Jennifer McCraw. I am the Marketing and Partnerships Manager here at Upward Sports. And I absolutely love serving church partners like Brian and Neil here, but also helping churches that are looking to get started for the first time. So on this call today, you may be a current Upward Sports church partner and you're just curious about how do we take a next step in another sport, or you may be a church that says, hey, I've never done sports before and I'm interested. So we hope we can answer questions for each group of leaders here. A couple of housekeeping rules. As you have questions, and you will, I want you to drop them in the chat box, or there is a Q&A section. You can put those in there. At the end of today, we're going to stop. I have allotted 20 to 25 minutes of just questions because the last webinar we did not get to all of the questions. And so I want to give you time. So as questions come in, just drop them in the chat box and we will make sure that we answer those. All right, let me introduce you to our experts today. First, we have Neil Muniz. Neil is with Cove Baptist Church, and he is in St. John's, Florida. Beautiful weather down there, probably. He is a 24-year church partner, and he does basketball with cheer, He does flag football with cheer, and he also did soccer for 9 years prior to the church that he is at today. So, Neil, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here. We also have Brian Kelly. Brian is with Northside Church in Liverpool, New York. He's an 18-year church partner. He offers soccer, flag football, basketball, and cheerleading, and he does a smorgasbord of camps as well. So, Brian, we are so glad that you're here.
Thanks for having me. As always, a little different up here in New York than Florida. I'm not going to judge you.
Mhm. That's what I was going to say. And it is not Christmas here at Upward Sports for everybody. I was joking before we started. We have a red background, green shirt. I'm not really sure, but it can be Christmas in April, is what Brian said. So hopefully it is because I have a giveaway. So, of course, it is Christmas in April. So the giveaway that I'm doing today, so this is how you win. You have to be live. So I will draw the name at the end of today. One of these guys will pick a number and I'll spin the wheel. And you are entered to win a $100 gift card to our Upward Sports fan store. Yay! That's so exciting. So you guys will be able to cash that in for a polo, a sweatshirt, a hoodie, t-shirt, whatever you feel. So to enter to win at the end, all you'll have to do is put your name and your church name at the very end, and then I'll draw. So that's amazing. Let's jump right in, guys. So you guys go ahead and unmute yourself. This is very informal. As questions again come up, drop them in. Today we're going to talk about what does it actually mean to bring a new sport to your ministry. And I mentioned here, I saw a few people just join in. We're going to try to cover two sides of the spectrum here. One, if you're a current Upward Sports Church partner like these guys, they've been running sports for years. They've added different sports along the way. How do we do that? Or maybe you're a church partner that's looking to get started, a church that says, hey, I've never done sports ministry. We're going to help answer both of these questions. So today, our first topic we're going to talk about is what adding a new sport really means for your ministry. And a couple points that I wanted to really hit on here for you guys is that adding a new sport, we must remember that it is not just another activity. It's not another checklist for us to do. It's really looking at this as multiplying your connection points. I like to call them ministry touch points. You see this through what our ambassadors are going to talk about here today and how they're going to share. By adding a new sport or starting a new sport for the first time, you're really building on momentum that you already have. Also, to me, as a past league director, every sport I started created a new front door to more families that maybe I never would have reached. It takes you from being a seasonal ministry to being an ongoing year-round ministry, which is so important, especially when you look at percentages of close to 60% of families that come on your campus for a basketball league are unchurched. And if you add another sport, you're able to keep those families in your church almost year round. And then for me too, it also allows people in your congregation to step into leadership. Maybe they are not interested in basketball, but hey, they are interested in soccer. It allows other people to get involved. So let's ask our experts about this topic. So Brian, for you, I know you have added multiple sports. I'm sure you didn't start with all of those. So when your church decided to add another sport, what shifted there? How did you even shift that mindset?
Yeah, so all the points that you mentioned are amazing. It really became for us this thought process of like we don't just want to wave goodbye to them at the end of the basketball season and say, all right, we'll see you in 8 months when evals come back around. or that one camp in the middle of summer. We really wanted an opportunity for our families to be engaged with us full year round for those 60%. And then also all the other amazing things that happen when you add a new sport, like all those families that come in and say, "Finally, we don't even like basketball, but we love soccer, we love flag football." I was the crazy guy that looked at my church leadership and I was like, "Let's do soccer and flag football in the same year." I would, if you can spare yourself from doing that, do that. Do one sport and do it really, really well. But we had a really long runway. We did a kind of a 2 year runway where we saw how it was affecting our church. We saw all the new families that were coming, and for us, it was really just trying to change the mindset of the season not being the end of the season, not being the result, but that really just being the launching pad for all this trust that we had built up with our families, all this connection, personal relationships that we had built up to really just keep engaging with our families in different seasons throughout the year.
Right. I'm thinking through, so you guys started with basketball and
Yep.
cheer, and then you added soccer and flag football. Thinking through that, you said I wouldn't add two. Which one would you have chosen as your second if you didn't add them both?
Well, so we had a big push, and this is going to differ for every church, but like we had a big push for soccer. Soccer was the one that we kind of saw jump out above the others as being this. Hey, we'd love to have a soccer program. We'd love all these soccer families that are like, we wish that you guys there was an upward soccer program. We didn't have one in our area. There's two other churches in Syracuse that are doing it, but just basketball. So we were the first church to do a different sport, and soccer was primarily the one that we were seeing as being the one that our families were focused in on. Plus, we had the leaders. We really had people who had a heart for soccer, had a heart for that mission and ministry, kind of step forward. But I'll be honest, flag football, I can very easily see that taking off in an even greater way for us now that we've had a season of both. For us to see that sport really, really grow. So I think it's going to depend on who you have for leaders, because if everybody knows if you don't have a leader, you don't have a ministry. So who you have for your leaders, and then what your church and your community are saying is what should be the next sport.
Great. So Neil, first off, you led soccer for 9 years in Miami. Then you moved to Fruit Cove, and now you guys are doing basketball. And then you added in flag with cheer. I think through how did adding this second sport change the overall impact of your ministry? I know we've talked about seasonal here, but I want to help our listeners understand, adding it's not another activity, right? But how did it even impact the ministry, the Fruit Cove Sports ministry as a whole?
Yeah, the beautiful thing is that you end up multiplying your impact because you're going to have families that are going to come play, as we've already said, that are not going to do the other sport. And that's what's kind of beautiful is it's a simple way to do that. And I started the soccer and the flag football. Actually started them when I was doing ministry in Miami, and there is neat because as even Brian mentioned about the leadership, when you have leadership that's excited about running certain sports, it doesn't take a lot of effort to make it happen, right? And now I'm just blanking on the actual question you asked. I feel like I'm chasing a squirrel.
No, just how did adding a second sport change the overall impact of the ministry? What did it look like when you
Yeah, so
added that second sport in?
yeah. Yeah, it changed the impact of the ministry because it essentially multiplied what everybody was doing. And then when you can see, I love sports ministry when you can make it more year round because it has almost feel like when you have a school where you can have,
Mhm.
those touch points really multiplied, weekly, multiple times a week through multiple months throughout the whole year. So instead of saying, as Brian said, hey, we'll see you in 8 months when we do evaluations again. Now it's, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to see you again.
That's
And
right.
it's constant and it's every week and twice a week and so on and so forth. So the multiplication piece is really key and it's huge when you add a sport.
I love that. I was reading an article and it's blanked my mind exactly where it's from. It was a magazine that came through and it was talking about the amount of time per year that a child attends a church service. They come to church. And I believe in a whole year time, don't quote me, I feel like it was like 7 to 8 times per year. Like an average child attends a church, whether it be like, hey, I'm coming to Awana, going to VBS, they attend. I thought about Upward Sports League. They normally are 8 to 12 weeks. They have a practice on Tuesday night, let's say, and then a game on Saturday. That's 2 times right there in one week, right? And you do that for just say you do a 6 week league, right? And that's 12 times. Well, that's a whole year essentially that you have been able to pour into a family in such a shorter time, right? And they become consistent. What I saw as a past league director is, they start on week one and they're a little sheepish, a little shy coming in. They'll put their chair up, right? And they'll sit at the flag football field. But by week six, they're, hey, everybody's talking. It's there. They're comfortable. You've created such a consistency, and that's one of these questions we're going to cover in a minute, is that being able to be relational and create such a consistency with families creates a consistency of coming to your campus, to your church. They will come to church. For me, that I know that part was not part of the question, but I was just thinking about, gosh, the touch point that you actually have. Let's go to another question. And you both can just jump in on this one that I was thinking about. But what did you notice about who the new sport reached compared to your existing one? So let's take, you both do basketball. So you have a group of people with basketball, and then you both do flag football. So when you added flag football, what did that look like, reaching a new demographic of families, as well as maybe the other families stayed with that? What did that look like? What did you notice?
Yeah, I would just say quickly that you have different passions, right? You have some people that they're going to be passionate about basketball, and their family loves basketball, and it's all basketball, and they know all the things about all the teams, and it's great, right? You want those kind of people in there, and then the same is true for all the other sports. So when you add something like flag football, you start to see, that side. It's outdoors, so that changes
Mhm.
a lot of the feel, right, for the experience that everybody's having. I know I love doing the outdoor sports because you see then the siblings hanging around, they're playing in the field, and they're finding green spaces to play in, um, and that makes it. There's a shift. With basketball, I feel like you don't get a lot of that. At least in my gyms, they're gonna have to go play in the hallway somewhere, and they're kind of hiding away. So the family dynamic is different. So the style of even you see some of the parenting is different. You have some parents that they want to let their kids go and play in the field, and it's okay. And then, but in basketball, that can't happen because they can't have eyes on everybody. But there are some nuances that are different. But then, of course, the beauty of being able to see a family that does basketball and that does football and that does soccer, whatever it is, and you get to seeing them in all the different months of the year, different seasons of the year. And so there's both. I think there's some similar things, and no doubt some nuances that are unique.
Love it. Brian, I know I see you
I was
thinking.
just going to say that all of that's great stuff from you. Essentially, you're getting people who are passionate about that sport. We don't have like a professional team here. We're a big college sports team, SU. We have a ton of different sports, but we soccer, flag football, basketball. These are all things that are like absolutely huge. Youth sports is where Syracuse is a youth sports town. So you get people entrenched into their sport. So you get those people that are coming. Some people will just come for flag football and then they won't come back for anything else. Where we really see the difference is like I can't tell you how many people we threw it up on our weekend services that were doing flag football. We had the interest day for soccer. We kind of set up the fields like it's going to be for game day to get that hype surrounded around it. And the amount of people that are just like, finally, let's go flag football. That's my thing. I think on our leadership team, we have somebody who played semi-pro football in their career, and we had a couple of D1 football players that all attend our church. Like basketball, not my thing, but flag football, now I'm in. Like that, they're all in on that because it just wasn't offered before. So just keying in on not just the new families, but also your new volunteers, the people that are passionate about it within your congregation to get that body of Christ moving with that new sport, and the hype and the excitement around it is pretty cool to see.
I love that. I also think through when you're talking about getting new people involved, that's what, Donnie Sisk, he's a great church partner in Pelham. We just interviewed him for our community hero, and that's one thing he said was I was able to find someone in my church to step up and lead. He was talking about pickleball and help lead pickleball because that was what they were passionate about. They were passionate about Jesus, but they're passionate about pickleball. When you put them together, that was their wheelhouse. That was their place to serve. So I love that. We're going to move on to a second section here so I can honor time with questions. And one of the recurring questions was like, yes, I want to add a new sport, but how do I thoughtfully add this to my lineup? Maybe I'm a church partner and I've been doing upward sports for like Brian and Neil for over 18 years, right? Or maybe this is our third year and we're ready to step in, or after our first season, we feel comfortable with this. So there are four things that I wanted to point out here, and I'll send this again to you in the email, and then I'm gonna ask these guys questions. But one, you've heard them hit on this, is you have to discern and choose the right sport, not just what's right for you, but what's right for your congregation, what's right for your community. If everybody is running flag football in your town, I would say let's probably not do flag football, right? We need to look at that point. Let's figure out what is the best sport for that. So be discerning in that and choosing the right sport. The second point is leadership first, not so much on logistics. A lot of time, if you're like me, I'm a checklist person. I want to check it off first and have everything set up before we can do everything. And if you wait on that all of the time, you'll be waiting forever, right? And so we want to make sure we have leadership first that are passionate. You heard these guys talking about that. Also, I think, and I'm going to ask you this too, guys, is I think it's important not to overload your current leaders if you're running basketball, but to pull in new leaders that are passionate about that other sport. Sometimes that is a question, or honestly, like almost like this is a roadblock for us because I only have volunteers for basketball and I don't want to use them again for flag football. I would challenge that and say, find new leaders, right? There are other passionate people within your church or inside of your city, your community that want to step in from other churches or parents that want to serve. So leadership first. The third one is start simple. We don't have to add kindergarten through 12th grade right out of the gate. We need some wins, right? And so start smaller and get larger. And I want to ask you guys that question too. And then my number four point would be go ahead and integrate it. Go ahead and do it. Step in. You're going to have the same shared systems, our My Upward systems with all your sports. You're able to create this culture across all sports, which is your ministry. Think about Northside. You guys have a culture that you've built. And for me, I look at all of the sports ministries that are running across the country. It creates an overall identity of your ministry when you do multiple sports and do them well. So those are my four high level points on that. But a couple of questions in that, I think through Brian is like, okay, maybe you're on here and they're like, yes, I'm ready to add a sport. How do we even know what sport to add next? I know we can ask our congregation, but how did you go about it of saying, okay, I'll move from basketball to soccer?
Yeah, well, I'll take one step back from that. It was the shift in mindset because I was a lay leader for a long time. We had volunteer leaders for everything, an extended leadership team for basketball, which is our longest season, and it's a grind. It can be a grind, but we wanted to recruit very intentionally for that team with missionally minded people, extending that team out, making it very wide, and then our lead pastor kept seeing people from his secular job. He's a lawyer in the secular world. He kept seeing people that he knew that he's like, they would never step foot in the church unless it's for this sports program. I know these people. I know them. They would not even walk into a church unless they were there to watch their kids' game. So he came to me. He's like, why aren't we doing this full year round. And that was it just kind of we had already had the wheels turning. And really before we started soccer, for us it was a longer runway. We were really thinking about soccer and flag football for 2 years. Before I became a staff member, even it was something that we were thinking about. But we knew intentionally we had to find the leaders. We didn't want to overburden, like you just mentioned, our basketball leadership team. So that was one of the very key foundational pieces for us was if we're going to do this and do it well, I would much rather versus the logistics versus we'll fit the field and God will tell us what we do for numbers. He's going to bring that and he'll figure that out for us. But we needed to find those leaders first and have it be totally separate from our foundational sport, basketball and cheerleading. So we went out and found our soccer leadership team. We went out and found our flag football leadership team, starting with that league director, and then finding the people that they're going to attract because I can't run all those sports. Neil, you can't run all those sports as you continue to grow. You can manage them, but you have to be able to hand those off to those leadership teams, and those people are going to attract other leaders to them and their style. So for us, it really truly was finding the totally separated leadership teams that were dedicated onto that sport. And then it was logistics. It was talking with our families. It was talking with our facilities teams and what can we fit. And there was some logistics stuff that went into it. And then the end of season from basketball, they always send out the great the checklist items of what sport would you love to see. So we really dug into those and kind of did our own polling with our families in the community to see what they would like, and those were the winners. So
Great. So, question. I saw somebody send this in to me. It said, so how do we find the person? They said, I'm not the
good
person.
question.
I'm the admin person.
Yes.
And that was me. I was the admin person
Yep.
and organizing it. But how do we find that person to lead a
So
new sport?
it's a great question because I got a basketball. I'm not a soccer person. I played basketball from the time I could walk. I'm not a soccer person. I'm not a flag football person. I went out and specifically I was like, I need to find people that are, first of all, that know about these sports. But truly it was for me, it was just the relationships that were being built over time with the other sports. It was just getting to know the families really, really well. And then for us, we had that long runway, so we kind of had some time to build relationships, but it was intentionally sitting down with those leaders. Every single person, it was Pastor Kip on our staff. He always says, "I got a shirt that'll fit you," but it starts out with this question of, hey, would you be interested? We see this in you, and it's not your skills necessarily. Never fill the role because it's a need. Hey, we're going to start a soccer program. Now we need to go out find a soccer league director. No, you find somebody that's missionally heart-based, all in on the mission of what Upward Soccer is going to be. You're going to have success with that person. So going out and finding those people who are truly passionate, truly all in on the mission, who have the heart for the sport, but also for what the mission of Upward Sports is. And then even if they don't know the sport all that well, they're gonna do something that's very successful. So it's intentionally finding those people, having conversation, building the strong relationship, and then it's the ask. It's the very intentional ask to say, "Hey, we see you kind of." Sometimes too, it's we have a couple people that are like, "We see you already serving in these areas, but like." If you could serve in one area, if you had to say no to everything else, if this was where your heart is, then let's pour all in on that. Maybe it's saying no to a couple other things at the church, and it's pouring more into this. But finding those people who are truly, truly missionally minded and have a heart for it.
I love that. I also think you referenced when you get a survey, we have a parent survey where we're able to see, hey, what do you think this, how did this go? What could we help improve on? Because we want to improve. A lot of the times in these, parents will tell us, hey, I wanted to be a part, I just didn't know. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to step in. I'm happy to serve. Even your congregation is happy to serve. A lot of times as a past league director, the miss I think I made was not asking someone because I didn't want to maybe they were busy or maybe they didn't have time. When after it was all said and done, they were like, I would have helped you do that. I've actually cheered before. And I'm like, oh man, I missed that. And so I think you're exactly right, is having that ask, knowing your congregation, knowing that people do want to help. And stepping into it and doing that ask. I love that. Great points. So Neil, for you, what, or anybody on here, what do you think the signs are that your church might be ready to add a new sport? That was a question people had asked, was how do we know that we're ready to add a new sport?
That's good. Brian actually started to answer that without even knowing it
I
with some of the
know.
things he was saying about the leadership, right? And people being ready and having a team. But man, if your church from the top down is excited about something, you are very ready. Because that is a something that gets overlooked. Sometimes we get, a lot of lay people excited about something, and we get our upward families excited about something. But then we try to go back to maybe church leadership, and they're like, if they're not excited about it, now you're really pushing against the wall. So you are definitely ready if church leadership is ready for it. That's just an easy yes. But then, some things to be mindful of is the questions and the asks that are coming up, in the surveys, in the face-to-face, in the emails. Are people asking for new things? Is it a camp? Is it a clinic? Is it a sport? As they ask the questions, and then I try my best to capitalize when they ask the question. If, hey, are you guys ever thinking about doing XYZ? Yes,
Mhm.
we would love to do XYZ. How can you help us make that happen? How can we partner with you to make that happen? Who else do you know that could help us make this happen? Now that kind of strays away from being ready or not, but it kind of helps plant some seeds. So as people ask those questions, let's say you're not quite ready yet, but as people are asking the questions and you think, oh, maybe we're ready, just keep feeding that with some good, idea of, hey, yes, we would like to. We just need the right people in place to make it happen. So that it's the slow growth. Because as Brian mentioned, like you want to put it out there a little bit. You don't want to say you're going to start a league in 2 months. You need time for all of it to get there. So those are some easy
I
ones.
love that. And for your leader that is leading it, here at Upward Sports, if you're listening here, you may be like, how do I know, like, okay, I can find one person, but I want to make sure they're fully supported. And so know that we will help your new leader. We will help train them so that they can train others. Our goal is that they are ready. We want to help get the word out. We will help you with marketing. We will give you marketing materials. We will give you everything that you need so that you are successful as you lead. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys one or two more questions that around these 4 points, which I'm going to send you these 4 points so that everybody has them because I just got that in. So again, it's discern and choose the right sport. Don't just pick one randomly, right? Discern and choose. And number two, leadership first, not so much of logistics. Hear me say, I'm not saying ignore logistics. I'm saying put leadership first. Number three, start simple. And I'm going to ask a question about three. And then four, make it a full sports ministry. The reason I say full sports ministry is not just so many sports. Today we're offering baseball, tomorrow we're offering pickleball. It's a ministry first, right? We want it to be a ministry. And if you offer multiple sports, families start looking to your church of like, oh, well, I play basketball there. It's a great experience. My kids love it. I'll play flag football there. That's a great place to go. So it's a full sports ministry. Let me ask this question. We talked about starting simple, and sometimes the word simple confuses me because simple sometimes means like it's not a great experience in my mind. That is not what I'm saying here. When I'm saying simple, to me, this means not overcomplicating it so much the very first time, but creating such an experience that you're able to grow healthy, right? With your leaders, grow with your leaders. You're able to create an experience that parents do want to participate in. So, Brian, for you, I want to ask you this question. So you had basketball and you stepped into new sports. What did your first season actually look like after adding a new sport? And what does simple mean to you in that?
Yeah, it was first, so like we intentionally try to keep it kind of smaller. We there's something that our old league director used to always say, do it first class, detailed, organized. If
Hmm.
you do those three things very well, then families will be your biggest. You don't need to market. You don't need to, do commercials. You don't need to run advertisements. The word of mouth will be there for you. So we intentionally we're trying to keep it small. I remember, some people came in and they had these big, ideas of grandeur. We're gonna have 300, 400 people our first season of soccer. I'm like, whoa, we probably, maybe we could if we really, really pushed it, but would we do it well? Would we do it, detailed, first class, and organized? So trying to keep things a little bit more simple. Obviously, we have all the blueprint from upper basketball we've been doing for a long time, and cheerleading, but just kind of taking those things and making them simple for our first year, because what we learned up here, I know you don't, Neil, you don't have to worry about this, but up here in New York, it still snows in April.
Mm.
So soccer that we tried to do like outdoor evals the third week, second, third week of March, our first year last year didn't really work out so well for us. So we made several changes after that first year. But just understanding that we were going to keep it small, keep it simple. Our concessions were a little bit more simple, but we just wanted to do everything really, really well. Our numbers, our first year was about 150 for soccer. Our first season, 5 through 12-year-olds, boys and girls. But yeah, just try to keep everything incredibly simple. We took the rules, we kind of made them work for us, for what we were going to do, but just trying to keep everything nice and tight and neat and organized. Because I'm always happy to like make changes. All right, let's debrief. Let's do the SWOT
Hmm.
analysis. What were our strengths? What really worked well? What are our opportunities? What were the threats that we saw? But just to kind of debrief after the season with those really smart soccer people and say, all right, here's how we can improve.
I love that. One thing too that I have noticed is, let's say you're starting in soccer. Instead of going kindergarten through sixth grade, you could start kindergarten through third. Things that are manageable, that are doable, like you said, that are that first class, they're organized, they're detailed. And then you're able to grow into, hey, next year we're going to include fourth grade because we got that, right? We understand how this works. And so continuing to build that and broaden that and doing it well is so important because, as Brian said, word of mouth will tell, they tell their friends to stay or to go, right? For sure. All right, before we open it for questions, Neil, I wanted to ask one question on cautioning. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. We may overcomplicate, hey, I've been doing basketball as a foundational sport for 12 years, and I just really don't, we've got 800 kids in basketball. I really don't want to do another sport because it's just a lot. So, what would you caution a church, whether they've been a Upward Sports partner for years or they're looking to step in? What would you caution a church about not overcomplicating something like this?
Right. Yeah. Don't overcomplicate the people that you need to make it all happen. So yes, Upward has a great organizational chart that they can give you with, all those different roles that you can kind of find. But if you take the advice that Jennifer and Brian said about keeping it simple and starting with a smaller, tighter league, you can get by with some people filling more than one role. No doubt. If you already have a handful of people that are committed to the mission, that love the Lord, that want to use it to share the gospel, they would be happy to fill more than one role. If it's an advertising kind of commissioner, if it's a host commissioner, if it's a referee commissioner, game day, all these kind of things. Um, so don't overcomplicate the people that you need to make it happen. If you're following some of the wise advice, like I said, of keeping it kind of simple, then you can have a nice, tight league that's organized, like we're saying, without needing, 24 people to make it happen. You can do it one night a week for practices. You can have your games on another day, knock it out in a few hours, and it's fun and it's impactful. And it's not like, oh wow, it just took, 12 hours of game day on a Saturday, like we do sometimes for basketball when we do those big, big leagues. Um, and it could be, even fun. Again, imagine it doesn't have to be as much work if we just follow some of these things. And then I would say a simple tool is in my upward where you can just put a wait list, you can put capacity limits on the amount of people that are registering. Use those. I use those all the time, and it helps me to be ready for who's coming. I can say, I have enough leadership to handle, this many, four teams per division, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's where I'm going to put my wait list at those numbers. And, and yeah, so don't overcomplicate some of that stuff. You've heard a lot of good stuff today. I know there's a lot of churches on board right now watching that. You got a lot of new ideas. You're trying to get involved, maybe you're thinking of this for the first time. Um, don't dream too big because it can mess you up a little bit in the beginning. Listen to the wise advice.
I love that. So keep it simple, but don't overcomplicate it. But I love the fun piece. That was the last thing I was going to say too, was just this is fun. Kids are coming. They want a safe place. Parents are looking for their kids to learn the sport. They see the church as the safe place, which is so great that that is seen whether they are in church or not. They will bring their child. And our goal is to love on them and to nurture them, to create such an experience they want to come back year after year, and hopefully such an experience that they want to step into your worship service at 11 o'clock and then be part of your children's ministry, right? So that is such a great thing here. So in closing, we're gonna do some questions really quick. So while I'm saying this last little piece here, if you have questions before I start answering the ones you submitted to register today, go ahead and start dropping those in the chat box. But for everybody on here, as you're putting your question in there, I want you to remember, for me, this is not about adding something separate. You're running a basketball ministry. It is not creating a whole nother ministry, right? It's about strengthening what you already have. It's creating this intentionality approach that is year round or spring and fall. It is creating multiple ministry touch points for people to step in and ultimately for your church to share the gospel. And so that is what Upward Sports is about, is that's what we want to do. All right, let's answer some questions. Drop your questions in the chat box if you have those. If not, I am going to give us the ones that we have right here. I'm going to ask a few questions. Brian and Neil, I'm not going to, unless I know that you guys will, of your stories, I will let you guys can just play paper, rock, scissors and decide who's gonna answer it. All right. This is a great question. This church says, how do I engage different community members when adding a new sport? This would be outside of the congregation. How do I add new community members?
Jen, is this specifically talking about like volunteers or is this
Great
like,
question. Volunteers, yes. Outside of our church, how do we get volunteers or people within the community? Yes, great question. Great
yep.
clarifying question.
So I would say, and this is going to be different for every church, but you talk with your church leadership about your priorities. What are your church's priorities? Is this something? Because there's another program in Syracuse that this is more their church league. They're a little bit smaller on purpose, and this is fellowship for them, where we see it more as the tool to reach out in the community and share the gospel. Nothing wrong with either of those approaches, but finding the priority of your church, understanding the priority with your church leadership of what you're trying to accomplish with the sports ministry, but finding those volunteers. The best and most successful thing that I've seen is transparently displaying the need for volunteers. Because a lot of times what they'll do is they'll come into evals, they'll come into the first week of practices or games. They'll be like, oh, it's so well run. I just assumed you guys were good. We always need volunteers. We always need people. So evals is a great opportunity for us to recruit volunteers, transparently let families know what volunteer areas there are, not just refereeing or coaching, but setup crew, cleanup crew, so that our leadership team can be out and actually ministering and talking with people, creating that personal relationship, so that at the end of the season, that relationship is there, the trust is there. There's so many ways that people can get involved, and it's passion for kids, passion for the Lord, or passion for sports. If you have one of those things, we can use you as a volunteer. Then when we take it kind of one step further, it's, hey, if you're not comfortable doing this devotion as they sit through coaches training, we're going to pair you with a faith coach. So every single team has one coach on their team that has that we know where they stand with the Lord. We know where they are, and they're going to be the faith coach for that team. So we actually make that on registration: head coach, assistant coach, faith coach. So we have a faith coach for every single team that they're going to be the ones that are doing the devotions, because that's usually what drives people is like, I don't know, I'm not comfortable reading the devotions or doing that. That's fine. I've got somebody that I'll pair with you that they may not know the sport at all. They're just there because they love Jesus. So transparently identifying the need to families and evals is a wonderful way, face to face, as they come in, they get to see it and just explaining, we can use you. We have a shirt that'll fit you, I promise.
Yeah.
I will say this too. Oh, real quick, Neil. When you create your league inside of My Upward, if you're new here, you've heard us reference My Upward. That is your platform that we will create specific for your church, where you can log into. If you're not an Upward Sports partner, you will have that. There is every league that you create, you'll have a link, a URL that you're able to share out and ask people to fill this out and volunteer. Once you get a base of families, you're able to email them and say, hey, it's time. We're opening up our flag football fall league. Click here and you can volunteer, whether it be a referee or you can coach. You're able to do that. Okay, Neil, sorry, I've
Yeah.
interrupted you. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, just to add the practical piece of everything Brian was saying was so good is to add different layers to how you're communicating that. So yes, the face-to-face, also signs, because just people the way they are, we've all seen,
Mhm.
you know how people are. They don't read, they don't hear you when you're speaking sometimes, so you have to add out the layers. But the face-to-face, the signs, the email, the social media, you know, the constant over and over again piece of, hey, these are the needs, this is what we're doing, so on and so forth. So it's good.
Perfect. Um, I am going to jump over here to a question that just came in, and it was Chase. He was saying, hey, we live in a community that has a little bit, they lack more of the volunteer side. He says, we have communicated the needs for volunteers in great detail, yet the challenge remains. The challenge is not due to lack of communication, but rather a lack of general volunteer interest in the community. What suggestions do you have to obtain volunteers in a particular challenging environment? Great
Yeah, so
question.
I'll just say real quick, man, that is solid because I think everywhere there's this consumerism amongst youth sports where parents want to pay a fee and sit back and watch, right? And that's everywhere. But even if it's a special in your community where it's even worse, use, I would suggest, use the capacity limits. And if you know you have enough people to do so many kids and so many divisions, that's what you offer. And then you can put caveats in there. Well, if we get more volunteers, if we get more leaders, we can add more divisions, we can add more children. That has been I've been really successful with that. So let's say as an example, I can have, 40 children in a division. I put a wait list when I reach 32. So then I have 8 spots left for volunteer recruitment, so to speak. So a parent hits a wait list and like, my kid can't play. They normally wouldn't volunteer, but they see that they're on a wait list and they have communicated on that wait list that we need people
Mhm.
to coach, referee, so on and so forth. And they're like, oh, I'll help. So that's one thing I've used, and helps push people off the bench a little bit. But definitely use the capacity limits is my suggestion for that, and see what that stirs, and have fun with it.
Case, I would also say there, look at, are you just asking right now inside your congregation? When you open your registration, you're going to have parents that will naturally want to coach. I think about my kids now as they're getting older. When I sign them up for something, a lot of times my husband will step in to coach, and he's a believer, right? And so you will have parents within your church, outside of your church, that will step in. Or, Chase, I would say, are there other churches that maybe you could partner with and you guys work together on that? Okay, let's keep moving. Um, Here's a question that was submitted prior. What helps a new sport gain traction early?
So I'll jump in. I think for us it was we knew we had a little bit longer of a runway. We had kind of started to build up the excitement within the congregation, which helped us from a volunteer perspective. I'm kind of going to answer the last question. Uh, One of the things that we do a lot, just going back to the, do you need volunteers? We actually will offer there. We've seen some other programs get really creative with their managed private registration links heading into the season. Like, hey, if you come back and volunteer to be a coach again from summer camp to the season or from season to season, you're starting off with, maybe 20, 30 coaches already right out of the gates that you kind of have a good feeling of where you're going to be. But getting the congregation moving. Neil, you killed it. It's like getting the church behind the program, the new program, the new sport, whatever it is huge in a way that like will start to build the buzz around your facility. It'll start to build the buzz around the field. So, 6 months before we started our first soccer season, we went out in October and we were doing it in the spring, and we went out and painted the fields. We said, here's what the 4v4 field is going to look like. Here's what the 7v7 field will look like. We put the flags up. We put the goals up. We had a huge upward banner sign. We're lucky enough that we kind of, our church sits on a major roadway, and you see it from the road as you're driving by. We've had people literally stop in and be like, what's happening outside? Like, we've seen the church many times, but we saw like something was happening. You guys do soccer. So just building the buzz within your church. But then we had a soccer day where it was just like, hey, no fee to it. We had a bunch of really cool prizes and giveaways and just things for families. Kind of got the jerseys, what they would look like. We put a bunch of posters up. We had a big tunnel for the kids to run through. Yeah, just like having an incredible day for your families to create a little buzz around your church. That we really saw that be pretty successful in getting not just families interested, but also volunteers like, hey, this looks great. This is awesome. Let's get involved.
Love that. Sort of leads in. We have 4 minutes. We're going to answer these last ones because everybody's sending tons in here. TK asks, this sort of goes to what you said, Brian. Outside of social media, what are good ways to advertise your league months in advance? I would say for me, from a marketing side, I love social media. That is a great way to get it out. We have a service that will help you get that out. Here, we get it to Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger and run that for you. But I would say on my end, and you guys can jump in, I would say yard signs. I know that sounds old school, but if you're on a major road and you're at a stop sign, yard signs, schools, get it into schools. For me, I love it when people use our promotional cards and they put them in stacks of 10 and take them into their small groups and say, now your job is to take these 10 and put them in mailboxes, give them to friends, friends invite friends, right? And so that's a great way. If you're in a church, you already have kids that are there, families that are there, put it on a slide in your church and get people to know about it. But my favorite way too, outside of the social media, is really do something to get people that are driving by to see it. Whether you put out your soccer goals and they're like, what is that? Put a big sign up. It's coming soon. Soccer's coming soon, right? Build that buzz. If you don't tell them, they won't know about it. And when you get tired of telling them, they're just hearing it for the first time. Seriously, that's how it goes. Anybody else you'd add to that?
I would add the practical tip. I love to use the early bird discount tip.
Oh, yes.
And
Good
sometimes
point.
even super early bird. So like when I have the long runaway, as Brian has mentioned, I like that verbiage. If you're a few months out, you start your registration for flag football that I do in the fall. I'll start in May. I'll do a super early bird for a month and give them, $50 off. Then I'll do a regular early bird pricing for another month or two, where it's maybe $25 off. And then it's the regular registration fee as we get into the closer months. But that's incentivizing families. Money
Love
helps
that.
motivate people. So if they can save it, they
That's
will.
right. I love that. So if you're a current church partner, you know all about this, but when you create your league inside of My Upward, there's a timeline. So you're able to build that out and map that out. One good thing is you already have a foundational sport, so you're able to use that to advertise to. You also have a regional rep that you can consult with, and they can help you figure out the best timing. If you're not an Upward Sports Church partner yet, that's part of our very first call with you as we help you map out your timeline, and you will have someone that walks with you through your whole first season to make sure you are successful. We want to make sure you feel confident and comfortable with that. All right, we're going to answer three more questions. This is Teresa. She says, we have a smaller, older congregation, but we have a great facility with a gym. How do we find leadership to start up, even if we're starting smaller? Great question.
So let's just say I was pastoring that church. I would invite my congregation into the gym, maybe before service, after service, maybe try to do a fellowship in there, whatever it is, and ask the question, how could we use this space to reach the community? And let it kind of be brought out from them. Let the congregation itself get excited about using the space. And then as they answer the question, those are your leaders, right? They're the ones that we could use. So that would be just one way, I think. That would be practical, and it would get people excited, kind of grassroots level about
I
how to use
love
the space.
that.
And it's not something that you're trying to push onto them.
I love helping them dream about what the gym looks like. It's not just plugging up our crock pots on Thanksgiving, which is fun, right? But it is a great way for us to invite families in the back door. We come home in the back door versus just walking in where you're not comfortable. And so I love that approach. Is getting them to go in there. And if it's super small, Teresa, where you feel like, hey, I don't even think they're older. I don't know if they would even be able to help me support it that way. I would look at going back toward a partnership. Is there a church 2 miles down the street from you that maybe they're landlocked and they don't have the beautiful resource that you do of a gym? How can we work together? And that's what these guys have said. Have that conversation of saying, hey, we want to reach new families. How can we do this together? We have a solution. Can you step in? Great. That's great advice. All right. I'm going to answer two more questions and then we're done. We're going to do a giveaway. I know you're excited about the giveaway. Let's see. Here's a great question. What is the most effective way to move families from our fields into a church or joining a small group? Good
Great
question.
question.
Yep.
So we just had we were just at a conference and I actually spoke to this topic. Truly I kind of said it earlier, but we build this trust from week one or the first day that they show up for our family, the first experience that they have, you get one chance to make a good first impression. From the first time that they walk into your church for evals or whatever it is, coaches training, you have this start of this trust building process. And throughout the season, every interaction, every ministry touch point, every practice, every game day, being super intentional about the season being the opportunity to continue to build trust. Because you can ask at the end of the season, like, hey, do you want to come? And that's a general question. That's great. Or you can send an email. Here's our service times. But I mentioned it, we have a dedicated faith coach on every team that their whole job is they're going into the mission field for 10 families. They go into this season and we show them and say, this is Matthew 18 for us. This is go and make disciples. You are intentionally going into the mission field for your 10 families, praying for them, praying for their hearts, getting to know them, getting to know you, that they see that you care, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows what you know until they know that you care. And then at the end of the season, we go into those gospel presentations with a whole different viewpoint of, hey, we built this relationship with you. We love you. We care for your kids. And now we want to share the most important thing that you'll ever hear. So getting them on a very personal level to build that relationship and then to say, hey, oh, we need to share the most important thing that you'll ever hear. And then follow up with those families, be very intentional about it being the launching pad for the relationship versus the whole season is just that's the end.
Yeah.
Love that. Neil, anything from you?
Yeah, so I've done just a couple things to add to that is I encourage connection. Uh, Again, face-to-face, signs, emails. I'm encouraging families to connect. If it's on the practice field, in the gym, wherever they're at, when they're sitting there for that hour of practice, talk to each other.
Mhm.
Imagine, They spend
Not
time
be
on
on
the
their
phone.
phone.
Yeah, they're
Right.
reading, they're doing all these different things, but I encourage them to connect, connect, connect. And then I tell my church families, because when they tell you what church they go to, you can pull up that information. I kind of copy those emails. I send them a specific email and said, hey, I just told everybody to connect. I'm saying that because I want you guys to be sure you're taking advantage of the gospel opportunities that God's giving you as you connect. You're going to have people connecting on purpose because they just heard me say to connect because it builds community and all the stuff I say to them. But then for you guys, we're doing it to share the gospel. So
I love
when you
that.
do that, then of course you're going to bring them into the body
Mm.
of faith much easier. So
I love that. If you're listening on here, I hope you don't think it's probably just going to be like you offer sports league and everybody runs into your church. This is going to be one of those slower roll. Anytime you're building that relationship with families, it might take a little bit. Um, you know, for Brian, his pastor Kip, he will tell you it took him several seasons as a dad leading his kids as a coach to actually even entertained, right? But he was listening and he was building that relationship. So I think it's important for us to notice that. But this is the purpose of sports ministry is you are creating this entry point for that relationship to be formed and ultimately invite them. Like they said, this is the last question I want to cover, and we're going to do the giveaway. There are probably 4 questions on here that says, hey, we stopped doing upward sports several years back. One says 15 years ago. How do we start back up? Great question. We'd love to help you. Your systems are still intact. Your My Upward system, all we have to do is turn it back on. So all you need to do is schedule a call and we'll get you back into your software. Let me tell you, if you're on here and you're not an Upward Sports partner, this is where you need to go, upward.org/church-leaders. Go there, click schedule a call. I know one of the questions just came in a few minutes ago was like, I want to start this at my church. How do I? That is where you go, upward.org/church-leaders, and schedule your call. You'll meet your onboarding team member and they will listen first. They want to hear what you're doing. They want to hear how we can partner with you. What are your ministry goals? What are you looking to do? And then they'll give you a presentation so that you're able to see behind the scenes of Upward Sports. You're able to see this My Upward system that you hear us talking about. If you are a current church partner, I hope you are encouraged by your fellow league directors today that are leading out in sports just like you are. Now is a better time than any, right? To step in and add a fall sport. This is your runway right here that Brian was talking about. We want to help you. I did want to give you all that are on here one fun campaign that we're doing that I'm really excited about. The World Cup is coming in June down near Neil. And we want to help you get soccer started for the first time. So whether you are a current church partner or you've never done Upward before, we want to help you get started. So we want to send you 2 free soccer goals. And so all you have to do is create your league. And then once you create your league inside of My Upward, I'll reach out to you and I'll send you 6x4 for the soccer goals, 2 of those. And so we definitely want to help you get started for soccer in the fall. So again, schedule your call. If you're a current church partner, log into My Upward and create your league. It is time to do the drawing. So if you're still on here, we have a pretty large group still. I have names already that entered, but put in the chat box your name and church name. That will enter you to win the drawing, the $100 coupon to the Upward Sports Fan Store. So go ahead and I'll give you a few seconds. I know it takes a minute to type. Type your name, your church name, and we will draw in just a minute. I'm trying to put everybody's name as you go. Any last thoughts while everybody's adding their name? Brian or Neil, you have like 15 to 20 seconds. Tell us something good here.
And I'll say quickly, we have a gift in sports ministry, and the fact that you guys are all interested in it, I think it's a no-brainer. The Lord wants you to do something with it, so act on it. And it's okay if you're not comfortable with everything. He wants you to be uncomfortable. The Lord wants you to be, I think, uncomfortable with things so that your faith can grow. So go get him.
I love that one. What about you?
Yeah, so I
Brian?
would just say, I heard this, somebody phrase it this way. You have a unique opportunity. Sports ministry has a unique opportunity and ability that almost no other ministry has. You can reach people in such an easy, non-threatening way. So if you are feeling like this is something that do not wait. Even if you do it small, you keep it nice and tight and simple. Do it. You will not regret it. You will see how it grows your church, your own faith, how it fills your bucket. And I would just say jump in with both feet.
I love that. You guys did a great job on that. Um, First off, I want to say before I draw the name, listen, give everybody give them a round of applause. Brian and Neil, thank you so much for stepping in, taking your time today to prepare for this and to help answer questions. I'm thankful. Perfect. Before we close, Ian sent me a message that could you repeat that about the free soccer goals? Of course. So for when you start a new soccer league for the first time, whether you're a new church partner stepping in or you're a church partner already and you're adding soccer to your lineup, as soon as you create your league, I'll reach out to you and we will send you 2 free soccer goals for your fall league. Hope that helps answer that. All right. Somebody gets to draw a number. I'm dropping all of them in here. 1 through 81. No, 78. 1 through 78. I'm dropping them in here. Some people send them their names directly to me. Some put them in the chat box. Great. I can put them all in here. All right. Which one do you want to draw a number?
I'll go number 7. That's for Con Knipple of the Charlotte Hornets. Whereas number 7, I just found out yesterday, maybe going to win Rookie of the Year this year. Former Upward athlete.
Yes,
Let's
I
go.
just shared something from the NBA had shared something, and
Yeah.
he is in his upward jersey. It's so
Yes.
cool.
He's
Yes, I love that. It's great.
just saw that. Super
I
cool.
love it. All right, number seven. Number seven. Again, it's for the $100 store, Upward Sports Store. Brittany at Fraser. Brittany at Fraser. Congrats, Brittany. You are the winner. So, Brittany, I will be reaching out to you today and getting you that $100 coupon so that you can get you something amazing from the store. Again, thanks for your time today. I'm going to close this out in prayer. You will get this recording tomorrow. So, if you have any questions prior to that, feel free to reach out to me. You can just reply back to your invite that you got to join this, and it'll come directly to me, and I'll be happy to help answer. Let me close this in prayer. Dear Lord, I just thank you so much for today. Lord, thank you, as I've been reminded from Neil and Brian, of the gift of sports ministry, but Lord, also the gift of leaders like these guys that are stepping in to share the gospel. For each leader that is on here listening, whether they currently do sports for many years and are looking to add a new sport, Lord, I pray that they will find the right sport, and Lord, they find the right leaders. And if they're on this call, Lord, and they're looking to start this sport for the first time, Lord, I just pray for them. I pray for discernment. And Lord, I pray for leaders as well. Again, Lord, we just thank you for this time. We love you. Amen. All right,
Amen.
guys. Thank you so much for joining. See ya.